Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Kimberly Wasserman. I am the Executive Director of the Little Village Environmental Justice Organization. I'd like to welcome you today to a press conference between NAACP and LVJO around the report Cold-Blooded, Putting Profits Before People. With us today we have an extraordinary panel of speakers. And I'd like to introduce Reverend Homer Cobb, President of the NAACP Hammond, Indiana branch. We also have Ms. Rose Joshua, Esquire, President of the NAACP Southside, Chicago, Illinois branch. Ms. Leigh Touchton, President of the NAACP Valdosta, Georgia branch. And Ms. Jocelyn Travis, NAACP Ohio State Conference Executive Committee. We're all here today in regards to the paper that NAACP helped put together around the 12 dirtiest coal power plants in the United States. And the people you have sitting before you are folks who are living in one of those 12 communities surrounding those coal power plants. Today you'll hear different perspectives and different viewpoints about how communities are being impacted, and more importantly, what needs to be done to take action around these plants. Symbolically, this press conference is happening during the EPA Mercury rule in this same hotel here in Chicago, Illinois, that is looking to regulate mercury emissions from coal power plants. So thank you very much for being with us today, and I'd like to get started with Reverend Homer Cobb.
Yes, I'm very grateful to be here today. And when we consider the impact or the evidence of impact upon our environment, we really have to take a good look. There was an entertainer at one time, and what he would say is things that make you go, And so we're to that point of things that make you go, Because you see things, there's things that you see, and they're not as noticeable, even though they're in front of you. But then there's things that we pay no attention to whatsoever, and that's the air that we breathe. We don't pay much attention to it until we have something that affects our respiratory system. Some things, even if we're playing, we don't think much about breathing till somebody puts their hand over your nose or mouth and don't turn it loose at the time that they should. It gets your attention. And that's the way that we are right now today, is that the bigger companies have their hand over our nose and mouth, not for the fact that they want to keep us from breathing, but also to keep us from making evident that they are there. And also to the fact that a lot of the communities that these power plants sit in that are polluting our neighborhoods, lead, mercury, are heavier than other things. And we realize that there is this thing called gravity. And because of this thing called gravity, it causes the heavier things to fall first. And anyone closest to these plants are most affected by the lead, most affected by mercury. And when these things fall on the ground and rain knocks it down, it falls in our stream, then not only do we breathe it, but we also eat it. Because then the fish consume the mercury. And when they consume it, we consume the fish, and then we consume the mercury from the fish. So things keep going as things go about. These plants work 24 hours a day. And then if you'll notice that dark smoke at nighttime, they do blend. So at nighttime, they may release a more proportionate particulates at night because it's not seen, it's not evident. But then the next day, as these things begin to settle on playground equipment, our children go out to play, our grandchildren go out to play, and they go out and they play in whatever was released that night. And so it's time for those things to come to an end. And the more that we become educated on it, because knowledge is power, and it's time that we exercise that power, becoming knowledgeable to the things that are occurring around us.
Thank you very much, Reverend Cobb. With us today, we also have Ms. Rose Joshua, Esquire, from the Southside Chicago branch of the NAACP.
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here this afternoon. I represent the Chicago Southside NAACP, and all of the NAACP units across the United States have a certain jurisdiction within which they work. the Chicago Southside NAACP is responsible for the south side of Chicago, the southwest side of Chicago, and the Loop areas. And the two coal generating plants are located within our jurisdiction. I want to talk a little bit about the national report, the NAACP national report. And the name of that report is Cold-Blooded, Putting Profits Over People, which identifies Chicago's Crawford Generating Station and Fisk Generation Station as two of the nation's worst performing coal plants that disproportionately impact poor communities. The report analyzes sulfur dioxide and nitrate dioxide emissions, as well as demographic factors, including race, income, and population density, to rank plants' environmental justice performance as Crawford and Fisk. These plants are owned by the Edison International. These plants rank first and third on the list of top offenders. Another metro area plant is the Waukegan Generating Station, which ranks 12. The NAACP is committed to strong regulation and monitoring of toxic coal emissions. There must be mechanisms in place at the state and the federal level to protect those who cannot protect themselves and hold coal plants accountable. The Chicago Clean Power Ordinance require plants to convert to safer energy productions or shut down. The NAACP is partnering with Little Village Environmental Justice Organization and the Indigenous Environmental Network to support the passage of this ordinance. Thank you.
My name's Leigh Touchton. I'm the president of the Valdosta, Georgia NAACP branch. We don't have one of the most polluting coal plants in Valdosta, but we have several coal plants in the state of Georgia, one of which has recently been litigated against. The Georgia tries to convince people that if the EPA says that the plant is safe, then there's nothing to worry about. But we and a group of other litigators were successful in getting that one closed down because we convinced the judge that the particulate matter that was being emitted from the coal plant was overwhelming in scope and was disproportionately affecting a black community. And that's something I can speak to regarding Valdosta. We have an incinerator that has already been located in a black community, and there's a proposal for another one on the table. This community already suffers from an infant mortality rate that's twice as high as the white community. Nationwide asthma rates for African Americans are 3 to 5 times higher than for Caucasian Americans. And then when you look at where these types of incinerators and coal plants, biomass incinerators, and things of that nature are located, in our state, 75% of the coal and biomass incinerators are located in environmental justice communities, communities of color, and the other 25% are located in poor white communities. So this is a situation where when you start looking at the mortality and morbidity data for a particular community, and when it ends up being higher than the white community that might be 40 or 50 miles away, and then you start looking at what types of industries are located near or in that community, then it's easy to connect the dots. And I think finally people are starting to wake up and realize that this type of thing has not only disproportionate impact on the health of these communities, but as one of our doctors in El Vejo spoke today at the EPA hearing, 20 million days from work are lost from parents to deal with their children who have asthma. And so when the community is disproportionately affected health-wise, then this has a financial impact as well. I can document that the average income in Valdosta for white families, for a white person, is $36,000, but for a black person is $18,000. So you're looking at people who are burdened with breathing air pollution, air that's been polluted. Then they have to further deal with paying the doctor to take their children to be treated. Then they have to further deal with getting docked pay from taking time off the job to deal with their children. So it's a vicious cycle, and it's a never-ending cycle, and one thing leads to another, and you can see how this would impact the overall economic health of that community as well. So I'm hopeful that the EPA is going to pass that rule, and we're going to start seeing some real economic and environmental justice.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Travis, and I am representing the Ohio NAACP Conference of Branches. I have been sent to this event by our state president, Sybil Edwards McNabb. Ms. McNabb is actually owner of a funeral home in Columbus, Ohio. And we have been talking over and over again about the many issues of young people, African Americans, dying for all types of reasons, and just consistently more and more young people dying, unknown illnesses, and trying to figure out why our young people are leaving this earth so soon. And so as I'm sitting here and learning all this information in regards to the plants spewing out toxic fumes that create cancer and asthma and all types of other illnesses that are just, it's a genocide in our community, and that's the way I see it. It's killing off our future. I wear many hats with the NAACP, and I've been blessed to be a volunteer with the NAACP for actually over 40 years, and starting as a young person. And so I feel that it's my duty to give back to the community by making sure that they understand what's going on with these plants. So the information that I'm learning at the teach-in that we've had and through the hearings today, I'm going to take back to Ohio. I'm so grateful for the vision of Miss Jackie Patterson and the NAACP for being able to issue this report, because we can't keep declaring our ignorance to this issue. We have got to get out there, become educated, and then figure out what the solutions are to solving these problems. Of the many hats I wear with the NAACP, one is I do the training for our state. I'm going to make sure that as I'm training, this issue is being included in the training curriculum. I'm also the local and state advisor for the Youth and College Division. And it's just imperative that these young people know what's going on, because they have to help us to go out and educate the community and educate their peers, because it's their future that we're dealing with here. And certainly, just as a leader in a community, I'm going to do my part to try to talk to elected officials to make sure they understand what's going on, because right now they're clueless, and that scares me. So I just think that what we have to do collectively is to come together and really put the word out as to what's happening. I also live in a community where we have the 6th worst plant in the country. It's a plant that's owned by First Energy. It's the Lakeshore plant. It's in a community I grew up in. And we didn't know that. And so again, we cannot declare our ignorance anymore. Now that we have this information, it's time to fight so that we can have a healthy, brighter, cleaner, clearer future for our families and our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Travis. So on behalf of the Little Village Environmental Justice Organization the Indigenous Environmental Network and the NAACP. This paper has been released today, and it's again looking at the 12 worst coal power plants in the United States, ranking them based on a number of different factors that were mentioned today. Yesterday we hosted a teach-in in the Little Village community where the Crawford plant is located, in which we got to share the basic information about what this report puts out. And this is one of many teach-ins that will be hosted across the United States where these coal power plants are located in. And as Reverend Homer mentioned, really this is a question of knowledge building power. We're sharing this information with communities to be able to decide if they want to take action and what kind of action they want to take. As Ms. Joshua mentioned, here in Chicago we're taking local action in regards to the Clean Power Ordinance, and even today there was folks who scaled the Fisk coal power plant as we are speaking and are currently sitting on the smokestack of the plant, and will plan on being there for 2 days to call attention to this issue. And so really, as was mentioned across this panel, it's a question of taking action in whatever capacity that looks like. And we thank all the members of the NAACP for being here, and we look forward to being in their cities very soon to host teach-ins across the United States. Thank you very much.